Hello there friends and welcome. This guide is all about the corrupted version of Arueshalae, where she turns back into a full-blown succubus and becomes chaotic evil again. Corrupted Aru can be very interesting because she does have unique contents such as new soundsets,
dreams are worthless,
and dialogue. The only downside is that you get her somewhat late, at chapter 5 only. As any ranged character, she can be a quite powerful addition to your party, with a lot of damage, a good number of attacks per round, but most importantly the ability to snipe dangerous enemies from afar. And as a ranger, Aru can certainly make for a very solid character, regardless of her ascending succubus version or her corrupted version. With a great number of powerful abilities, and of course some very good self-buffing spells. So first I'm going to talk about how to actually recruit Corrupted Aru, and later about the build progression itself. So let's get started. Alright, so getting Corrupted Aru is pretty simple. During chapter 4, after you deal with Dimaucho, talk with Aru when you return to the Nexus. So choose to talk with her about what happened at the manor, and she will tell you to go into her dreams. So just choose let's go. And basically all you have to do here is pick the evil option and don't support her. Say that she's basically the same as a demon and there's no changing that. And this will be enough to set her off. Her dreams will disappear. And the strangest part about this is that Aru also leaves your party. Right after that, you know, it's very sudden, out of the bat. There's no indication whatsoever in the dialogue that she's going to leave your party, but she does. So if you notice our party selection here, Aru is actually gone. So I do wish there was at least an indication dialogue-wise that Aru, you know, left your party. Now you can only get Aru back when you reach chapter 5, and then all you have to do is head to the place of execution area, which is in the southwestern part of the world map. And also, well, basically just west of Pelura's Fall for easier reference. And once you arrive there, you'll meet Arueshalae, who will come corrupted already. Now as far as I'm aware, you can only get her to join your party back in certain mythic paths like Demon and Lich. So just speak, you may rejoin my party if you want. And here we are, if she actually likes the path you've chosen, she will join you back. I'm pretty sure she won't join you if you're, let's say, a very good aligned mythic path like Angel, so you'll have to kill her, I think. You can actually get her to join your party right here, but let's save that for later, as we do have to face a pretty tough battle. Now I advise you come prepared to this area because, well, even if you don't have the Corrupted Arueshalae event, by default it seems like a simple area, there isn't really any enemies, but when you first reach the top side here near the camp, you'll soon get ambushed by quite a lot of powerful mythic demons, as you are about to see. Enemies just keep coming, especially these mythic rocks assassins, which can be pretty tough if you aren't prepared.
the world in crimson. Your pain is my pleasure.
But we are easily able to overcome them. And that's it, Corrupted Aru have fully rejoined your party then. Alright, so let's talk about our Corrupted Aru build now. The downside about her corrupted version, well, there's actually two downsides. First is, she comes at level 15, and she already has all of these feats pre-picked for her, so whatever build you had for Aru before she becomes corrupted, well, that kinda gets ignored. She comes with a full new build at level 15, and there's not much you can do about it, besides, you know, using a mod to respect her from the start, so from level 1. On the other hand, this doesn't matter that much as far as her normal feat selection, because her corrupted build does come with the best ranged feats, so we have point blank shot, precise shot, rapid shot, deadly aim, clustered shots, improved critical longbow, weapon focus longbow, critical focus is kinda useless, and then hammer the gap, which is also somewhat niche. Also many shot, and point blank master, so in a way she already has the best of the ranged feats that any ranged build would want, especially a longbow build. So we don't have to worry about that. Now the second downside is, well, her favorite enemy selection is, to put it simply, awful. I mean, it does fit her corrupted version like a demon, so we have human, dwarves. I don't think we ever fight any dwarves besides, you know, Staunton, elves, Dwarves again, humans again, and then halflings. We can only really pick her favorite enemy selection at level 20. And you know, there isn't really much of a point to all of these favorite enemies because at level 15, so at chapter 5 when we get her corrupted version, we are really only going to be fighting other demons. Now thankfully there is a way to overcome this awful favorite enemy selection, gameplay wise at least, which is to use the instant enemy spell. With this you can treat any enemy as if they were your favorite enemy with the highest value you have. For Aru that's probably going to be human. She has 3 stacks of human favorite enemy, and we can later get another one at level 20. So any enemy in the game that you cast instant enemy on will be treated as if suffering from her full human value. And this does cast as a swift action, so you can actually cast this during battle and then proceed with your attacks, all of them, so your full attacks. The only downside to instant enemy is that it has somewhat close range, so you need to be reasonably close to the enemy to cast it. And she still has her ranges bond, but because of her questionable favorite enemy selection, it's nowhere near as powerful as the normal Aru with demons as favorite enemies. But I do believe you can also use instant enemy to overcome this. So for this guide I'm going to keep Aru with her normal progression, you know, so without a mod that lets you respect her from the start. So we do have from level 16 to level 20 to play around with. At level 16 you certainly want to increase her dexterity, as this is her main attribute as a ranged character. I mean, she already has the skill points that you need, so keep increasing mobility, trickery, stealth, perception. I would actually also get points in use magic device, because she does have very high charisma and can contribute to your party with spell scrolls from other classes, like the very useful divine spells for buffs and to remove some status ailments. Knowledge, arcana, and persuasion, well, it depends on your party. I already have other characters with knowledge, arcana, and the same for persuasion. But just as a note, if you want to know how to build Aru from the start, so the earliest we can get her at around level 8, I already have a guide linked to the side here on how to get Aru the earliest. And for a full build progression, well, I already have a guide on how to build your Aru, so please be sure to check those guides. This is for her corrupted version without mods to respect her from the start. At level 17 I would certainly go with improved initiative. Aru can achieve very high initiative as a ranged character because of her high dexterity, and for ranged characters especially, high initiative is great because we can easily snipe enemies, troublesome enemies like casters and other ranged foes, to disrupt their concentration and kill them easily before they can react. There isn't really much of a point to the snapshot line, at least in my opinion. You know, snapshot requires a lot of feats to be useful, and we don't have any feats to spare with Corrupted Aru. For a level 18 combat style feat, well, you can certainly pick skill focus and then a skill of choice, like if you want Aru to have the highest stealth possible, or if you also want her to be your persuasion character. But in my opinion I would just go with archery, and honestly toughness, because at this point the other feats don't matter that much. We already have point blank master and improved critical in longbows. Increasing her saving throws at this point is kinda useless. We already have spells that either highly increase our saving throws or outright make us immune to most status ailments in the game, including mind affecting. And dodge, well, as an archer she isn't going to get hit, so I would go with toughness just to increase her hit points, and if you are an unfair this is especially valuable. For level 19 we have our last feat as Corrupted Aru, and honestly I would actually go with Metamagic Heighten spell. You can also pick this earlier, so instead of improved initiative. The reason is that with Heighten spell we can actually increase the number of instant enemy slots per day we have, so we can have instant enemy both at level 3 and also at level 4 spells. And level 4 ranger spells as a whole aren't really that special, especially for a ranged character. You do have freedom of movement, but you know, any other divine caster can cast it instead, way earlier, and also animal growth that you can also leave for Camellia or Nanio instead. Aspect of the Wolf can be great, but only for melee characters, so let's go with Heighten spell. At level 20, because we already have an even score to dexterity, there isn't a point in increasing it anymore, so let us increase strength to leave it at a +3 modifier to gain more damage with our composite longbows. As for our last favorite enemy choices, and actually the only ones we get to pick for Corrupted Aru, well, I would go with Outsiders here. It can affect a lot of enemies in general, and especially for the upcoming DLC where we are going to fight a lot of lawful aligned outsiders, I believe, so this can help a bit. But be sure to keep progression in humans as well, because it will become our highest favorite enemy, for the great synergy with instant enemy, and also her ranged bond ability. Now let us talk about mythic progression for our Corrupted Aru. She does also come with 5 mythic abilities and feats already chosen, and unfortunately some of them are very questionable. For example, why does she have Brutality Incarnate? This does nothing for a ranged character like Aru. She isn't going to be attacking with natural attacks. I mean, she fights with a bow. I'm not sure why they picked this feat at all for her. Perhaps because of the name, as it fits a demon, but you know, it's very useless. I imagine you could play a shapeshifter Aru with some of the shapeshifting spells that also work on allies, but why bother? You can just use the Covenant of the Inheritor relic to bypass enemies' physical resistance, especially demons' physical resistance to cold iron and good, by just turning that relic on and off, even for natural attacks. So a very strange choice. The same for Always a Chance. It can be a useful feat, but you know, it's not a priority. It's something I would only get at the last mythic feats, and even then we can just use Fortune Hacks to overcome our misses on a roll of 1. Deadly Aim Mythic and Mythic Rapid Shot on the other hand are very solid choices. Ever Red is also somewhat questionable because Aru doesn't come with any of the attack of opportunity granting feats like, you know, the entire snapshot feat line, and I don't find picking them with her useful because she doesn't have many feats to spare, by coming only at level 16 basically. So for Mythic rank 6, well, you certainly want to go with Mythic Improved Critical and then Longbow. This way your longbows can deal up to ×4 critical damage, which is huge, even if they don't get a lot of criticals. With Improved Critical by default their critical range is 19 to 20. But remember, you can always use Fortune Hacks to increase that even higher, or just have a Trickster character, as to improve her criticals to 15 to 20 with a longbow, which is huge. I suppose the good thing about Mythic Corrupted Aru is that she will already start with quite a lot of Mythic abilities. She will have level 6, 7, and also level 8 already and at once for you. And depending on your Mythic path, for example as a demon, my Aru already came with all of her Mythic feats, so at Mythic level 10. In a way this can be great because even though some of her initial Mythic abilities are questionable, you can easily overcome that by getting a bunch of them together at once. For Mythic level 7, well, you can finally get started on the actual ranged Mythic abilities that she doesn't come with for some strange reason. Instead of Always a Chance and Ever Ready, such as Cleaving Shot, which is the best of the Mythic ranged abilities to get first. At Mythic rank 8, go with Mythic Improved Initiative. For Mythic level 9, Distracting Shots because of the great synergy this has with your melee party members, as it is an untyped source of armor class debuff, so stacks with everything else. For our last Mythic feat, we are actually going to get a Mythic ability, so extra Mythic ability, and the bigger they are, I do find it a lot more useful than ranging shots, because you know, if you actually get a hit on the enemy, the bonus from ranging shots will reset. The bigger they are on the other hand is always on, and a lot of the tough demon enemies in the game are of size large or huge, prime targets for this Mythic ability. And like I said before, the good thing about Corrupted Aru, especially as a demon, is that demon characters can get Mythic rank 10 very early in the game, as soon as chapter 5 starts, before we can actually recruit Aru back as a corrupted version. So she will have all of these at once. Alright, so let's talk now about gear for our Corrupted Aru. For the amulet slot, I really like the amulet of Quick Draw. First because it does give you extra damage on ranged attack rolls against large and bigger enemies, many demons, and also the very powerful +4 bonus to initiative rolls. And because of Aru's very high dexterity, she can end up with a massive amount of initiative, 43 here, to ensure she pretty much always goes first before the enemy. For the armor, I like going with Web Strider because of the morale boost to dexterity, which can help with your attack bonus. You can get Web Strider by enchanting a certain Crusade relic into a padded armor, as I have already shown to you in my How to Get the Best Crusade Relics guide linked to the side here. But you don't really need to use this. You can go for example with Mithril chain shirts. I just don't find armor class useful for Aru at all because she won't be tanking, she's a ranged character. For the belt slot, my favorite are belts that increase both strength and dexterity because of the synergy it has with longbows, composite longbows that is, to increase both our attack bonus and also our damage. For the gloves, you really can't go wrong with the big game gloves. These gloves let your query ability, which Aru does get as a ranger, to actually inflict a very powerful debuff against the enemy when used, for a -2 penalty to armor class and even the second effect without a save. For boots, well, I'm actually using the sure footing boots here. Only demon mythic path characters can get these boots, but you know, I do think demon characters are the ones that fit Corrupted Arueshalae the most, after all she is a demon. These boots are very special in that they actually let you add half your perception ranks, so 10 at max level, to damage on your first attack with a ranged weapon every round. This can add up even though it's only on your first attack. Remember, because we have the many shot feat, our first attack also fires 2 arrows for even more damage. But if you don't have that, you can also go with the Ronak Sacrifice boots for the very high +8 bonus to dexterity. For headbands, well, any headband that increases Aru's charisma, as this is her casting stat, but it doesn't matter that much for her, because at the end of the day it's just for more spell slots. She isn't really going to be using difficulty class based spells. For goggles, goggles of piercing gaze as usual, for the insight bonus against outsiders, and unlike the amulet of quick draw, this works on all outsiders, and it's probably especially going to be useful when the new DLC and first expansion hits this month still, at February 18th I believe, for all of the lawful aligned enemies you're going to face, or so I hope. Cloaks of Resistance as usual with the maximum bonus to increase her saving throws to the max. The Ring of Guiding Star is always useful, especially for sniper ranged characters, not just for the initiative bonus, but also the extra damage whenever she hits an undamaged enemy first, which is very easy to do as a ranged character. Also the Merciless Shot Ring to increase our point blank shot boost. As for braces, the Lasses Braces of Archery for a competence bonus to attack rolls. But you know, as a ranger, you can also just use the aspect of the Falcon spell for the same benefit. Unfortunately, I don't believe in Wrath of the Righteous we can yet get the higher version of these bracers. You could certainly get them in Kingmaker. As for weapon, I'm only going to talk about the ultimate longbow weapon here because you know, you do get Corrupted Aru only at chapter 5 and by that point you can already get this weapon. The Killing Pace Composite Longbow, you can buy it from the Skeleton Merchant during the random encounters at chapter 5. It's a very special bow because it actually lets you add half your ranks in mobility as a competence bonus to damage rolls on every single one of your hits. It doesn't show on the character sheet but will work during combat. So that's an extra +10 bonus we are getting on every one of our attacks. Unlike the Boots of Sure Footing, this does work for every single one of your hits, not just the first attack. As far as Quickslots, these are actually important for a ranger character as well. First we have the Old Grimoire item that you can get from the boss at the Ivory Sanctum area during chapter 3. It does give you 3 extra slots for level 1 spells, 2 for level 2 and 2 for level 3. For ranger this does matter a lot because you know, our level 1, 2 and 3 spells are very powerful. Lastly, a ranger can also benefit from all of the different quivers of ammunition you find in the game. My favorite ones are the ones that actually get recharged when you rest, so you don't spend them all. We have Quiver of Flaming Ammunition for 1d6 fire damage. The Fatal Mark can be somewhat interesting, but it does require you to hit multiple enemies. On hit, it marks the target and creates a bond between them. Whenever you hit a marked enemy, all of the other targets also suffer 2d6 damage. The problem, as I said, is that you do need to hit multiple enemies with this, which can be somewhat annoying. Usually you only want to hit a single enemy to easily destroy them fast. Now the Seal of Madness Quiver is probably the most unique of all of the ammunition in the game. You can get this by enchanting the relic called Remains of the Corrupted One that you can find in chapter 4 in the Demon City. First, it can actually drain the enemy's intelligence, but also it can actually petrify them. I'm not sure why, it doesn't say here in the description, but you can petrify enemies with this. Petrification means they are basically instantly killed, and you do still gain the experience and can still loot them just fine as well. So if you want a good ranged item to invest in the late game, be sure to get the Seal of Madness from the Remains of the Corrupted One. Lastly, we also have the Extend Metamagic Rods. They aren't as needed for Corrupted Aru because she comes very late, with high enough caster level to give her long spell duration, but it can still be useful for spells like Sense Vitals, which only last a single round per level. With this you can get something like 3 minutes of duration. Alright, so let's talk now about spell allocation for our Corrupted Aru, and this does matter because rangers do get a lot of powerful self-buffing spells. For level 1 we have Hurricane Bow to increase your damage, Aspect of the Falcon for a competence boost, Long Strider for more movement speed, And also Unbreakable Heart to easily remove all sorts of annoying, mind-affecting spells, especially Confusion. Cure Light Wounds can be useful, but because we only get Aru at the late game, by this point Cure Light Wounds is not really that needed anymore. We have way more powerful healing spells available. For level 2, the choice is Sense Vitals, of course, to highly increase our damage by adding Sneak Attack to every one of our attacks, up to a maximum of 5d6. As for level 3, Instant Enemy, so that even though Aru has questionable favorite enemy choices gameplay-wise, she can easily apply her full human bonus to all of the other enemies. And with the old Grimoire we have a lot more level 3 slots for this. The same for level 4, which we slot with more instant enemies through the aid of the heightened Metamagic feat. In battle, because we actually have Query, which soon improves to Improved Query because we get Aru somewhat late, Corrupted Aru at least, and also the Ranger's Bond ability, we can still do some decent damage, especially with instant enemy. Despite Corrupted Aru's build limitations, let's try this Desolating Gallo Stormcaller here.
You won't recover.
While our trusty spider tanks for us. So look at the damage they're doing. So you know that's more than 100 per hit, and on a critical hit close to 400 damage. Well, actually more because we have other stacks of damage here from other sources added to our main weapon attack, with great attack bonus as well. 72 here for example, even at our 5th attack. Now we are taking a lot of damage too because you know Aru is not really made for tanking, and we are at the center front of all our party members, while being eaten by the swarms here because I didn't catch Stone Skin Communal. Now let's ride this Baylor here. We actually destroyed the Baylor with just one hit basically. And get this, the Baylor got a very unlucky roll against the Seal of Madness ammunition effect, so we dealt 40 intelligence damage to the poor Baylor too. Now let's handle the Marilith.
Indulge me and die quickly.
Which also got destroyed with ease. Honestly, the power of the Seal of Madness is that you can actually petrify enemies. This Quiver is very powerful. And another nice thing about Corrupted Aru is that she does gain new Soundsets when you click on her, for example.
You intrigue me. Dreams are worthless. Your strength is unmatched. I was such a fool. Do you like the new me? You called?
And then there's also this one.
Do you like my beautiful wings? Want to touch my long, alluring tail? Kiss my luscious lips? I love myself so much.
And of course we also gained some new banter with your party members when resting, and some new dialogue interactions as well. So you could say Aru truly reverts to her evil succubus ways. Well, so this was it for my Corrupted Arueshalae guide, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this. It is true that Corrupted Aru only comes pretty late, but she does have some unique content which is very fun. And I imagine we are going to get even more Corrupted Evil Aru content once the upcoming DLC releases, as it's meant to take place in the end game, so during chapter 5 or 6, after you can already get Corrupted Aru. As usual, please remember to support the channel if you can by liking this video, subscribing, and even becoming a member for some exclusive perks such as access to my exclusive Discord where you can chat with me and talk about all sorts of other RPGs. And also get some early access to the new videos I'm making. Thank you for watching and see you next time, friends.